I was probably in my late 30s when I thought it's probably time for me to start thinking about having children. I had a boyfriend at the time and he was kind of indifferent to whether he wanted them or not. So we started trying, but then soon after that we split up. But then I realized I really do want to have a child. So I tried to think about how am I going to have a child on my own, which back then, which was several years ago, was a big thing to do on your own. So I did a little bit of research and I found out about donor sperm. And I talked to someone at work and I said, I'm really shy to go in to see the doctor and ask him about it. Can you just pose as my partner, just so I can find out some information about this? So reluctantly he said yes, but the day of the appointment, when we went to see the doctor, he actually chickened out and didn't show up. So it was a great opportunity for me to start having this conversation. So as I started going through the process, I went through lots of tests, and I went, probably a lot of you remember the different blood tests and ultrasounds and things that you do each morning in anticipation of hopefully ovulating. I went through a treatment called IUI, and it didn't work. And so the doctor started talking about statistics at my age, started talking about different numbers, scared me a little. So instead of going with the regular 3 cycles of IUI, I skipped right to IVF. So I started on that process, and I thought, I'm sure I'm going to do well in this because it has better chances. And so we started in, and I was very successful in my first one. I think I produced something like 38 eggs. And then after 5 days, there were only 6 eggs remaining. So we implanted 2 and hoped for the best. And then I had to wait those grueling 2 weeks, and the results came back negative. We went through this with all 6 eggs, 2 at a time. Nothing. I went through my IVF process 3 different times, so 3 different cycles of trying to produce eggs, and this went on for about 4 years. Finally, I decided maybe I need a second opinion. So I went to New York City, and I thought, well, there's a doctor there that Celine Dion talks about that got her pregnant. Why don't I try him? Maybe he's got some better answers. So I went to see him, and ironically, he actually talked about the same protocol that I was using in Toronto. So I came back and decided, this is my last kick at the can. I'm going to give it all. If this is the protocol that I should be using, let's try this one. So I tried it. At this stage, I was well into my 40s, and I thought, this is going to work. So we started down a path of a 2 or 3 month process, and ironically, about 2 weeks into my process, I started thinking a little bit more about work-life balance, trying to get my different interests in life, realized that I had ignored for so long because I was so focused on trying to get pregnant. And I started to pick up my tennis racket again, which I hadn't in many, many years. So I started taking some tennis lessons and really enjoyed playing again. And within about 2 weeks, the tennis pro asked me out. So we started dating. Keep in mind, I'm about 4 weeks into my 3-month cycle, 3-month IVF treatment. So we're about 2.5 months into our dating relationship. And I have to break the news to him that in about 3 days, I'm going to have a transfer of eggs with donor sperm placed in it. So we stayed up all night talking about it, and by the morning, he offered to use his sperm. And so we decided to switch it out at the last minute, rushed down to the doctor's office, did the test, did the blood test, switch it out, and we put them in. And I thought, this is going to work, because this is fresh. It's going to work. This is the answer. Put them in, went to church 12 days straight, prayed, went in for the results. I wasn't pregnant. So I decided, you know, I'm in this great new relationship. I'm playing tennis, I'm getting into shape, I have better work-life balance. I think I'm going to go and try something else. I thought about many other options, but I thought, I'm going to put this behind me, I'm going to focus on my life, which I did. And so I moved on, and we started dating, and the relationship was really building nicely. And for a while, I was having these terrible cramps and not getting my period, and I called the doctor, and he said, no, it's normal right after an IVF cycle. Your cycles are all messed up, don't worry. It'll come back in 1 month. So I said, okay, great. So I waited and waited, and nothing was happening. And I went back, and I said, I have a feeling that something's strange. Can you check something? So I even went to the pharmacy, and I did a pregnancy test, thinking, oh, maybe I'm pregnant. So I went and did the pregnancy test. It was negative. So I didn't know what was going on, and we took more tests and more tests. And then finally, it occurred to him, maybe we'll do a blood test. He called me the next day and he said, "You're 9 weeks pregnant." And I didn't even know. And I had no idea this whole time that I had been pregnant because I was thinking about, maybe it's not what I want in my life. Maybe I want to do something else with my life. So as I rush home to my 8-year-old son tonight, and I bless whatever happened in my life, Mary mostly, because Mary came into my life at a great time. Funny story actually, it was suggested during one of my cycles to try acupuncture, and someone gave me a sheet of paper with a bunch of acupuncturists on it, and I happened to pick Mary because she was in my office building and I could go at my lunch hour. And she turned out to just be this incredible, incredible practitioner. So that's my little story. I hope it inspires and makes you laugh a little. And I want to introduce you to the greatest person who really helped create such great humility and happiness in my life, and that's Mary Wong.